Hello, Richard.
As a party. How are you doing?
Hi. Hey, you got it right. People really trip over that last name.
Oh, well, I just heard you say it.
I know that helps, doesn't it? It's a it's a delight to talk to you. I've been a fan of your work for a long time, and I have to say that I mean, you look good in drag. It makes me think that perhaps you had a past in drag. Is that something that we should talk about first and foremost?
Chris, this is entirely due to the amazing artwork of Guy Common, the makeup designer and applier, and Nadia Stacey for this Thatcher-like wig, and Guy Speranza for his amazing costume with the double D bra. It's all their work. I can take no credit for this whatsoever. They provided the armor for this.
So it's the double D bra that really helped you get into the character as Loco, right?
Yeah, and 6-inch heels, leopard skin tights, and being 6'8" and having to bend through doorways. That does something to your psyche.
Yeah. So is this the first time that you walked in heels that high, or?
Yeah, first time I've been in drag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still walk in heels without being in drag, Richard.
True. I'm a teenager of the '70s, so I had platform heels, but not as high as these were.
How tall are we talking?
Oh, like that size, 4 inches.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Did you manage to stay up on them? No accidents?
Oh yeah, because the wedges on those ones in the '70s were, they were like 2 inches square, whereas these drag shoes were stiletto heels, torture chambers.
Yeah. So skinny bottoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been in drag?
It's a good question, and not really, not full on drag, which is funny because I'm the gay one here, and so I feel like it's a little unfair that a straight man has beaten me to it.
Well, there's always tonight.
There's always tonight. I mean, yeah. Do you think you can FedEx your entire Loco Chanelle costume to me in the next 12 hours? It's too heavy. Um, did playing Loco maybe have you thinking or considering what your own drag name might be if you were to go out on RuPaul's Drag Race, for example?
I think it would have to be Regina Delumptious.
Tell me, okay, you did not just think about that.
I just
That's
did.
been said. Of course you did. That's brilliant. I think that's the name.
Okay.
I'm looking right at you and I'm seeing it. I'm envisioning it. I'm waiting for the tour, the national tour.
Oh my God. I watched 11 series of RuPaul's Drag Race in 3 weeks
Yeah.
because I'd never seen drag before. So I thought this was the best way of trying to immerse myself into just what the vulnerability and sheer steely determination that you have to live that life.
How did your crash course in drag, um, watching RuPaul's Drag Race, prepare you to play Loco?
Um, the vulnerability on the one hand and the incredible nerve that it takes and throwing shade and sass and that every single drag artist had some prejudice to overcome either within their own family or in society. So I thought that the courage that they have is absolutely extraordinary, and that on the one hand they may be crying backstage or having a meltdown, or their families, some tragedy has happened, and yet they go on stage in all this gear and they just deliver. And I thought, well, that's really the key to Hugo stroke Loco, that there's this two sides to it that's so extreme.
Yeah, a lot of Hugo's story is, like a lot of gay men of Hugo's time period, is a story of resilience. It was a different time for gay men of Hugo's age, right? And Jamie sees that. Jamie recognizes that. I mean, you have, as Hugo, lived through a lot, including the AIDS epidemic.
And I think that montage song, that's where you go back into, and Hugo is physically present looking at his life having gone by and his partner's died of AIDS, is a kind of emotional anchor and gives sort of historical overview to, because Jamie is out happily at the age of 16. His his real struggle is that can he convince the school to accept him in drag? So, which is a very different journey from what Hugo has gone through, Stonewall and the hedonism of the 70s, legalization of homosexuality, certainly in the UK in 1967, which is a historical blink away, then followed by this scourge of AIDS in the 80s and 90s, where generations of people were wiped out. It's such a different struggle then to what Jamie knew is going through. And I thought that giving that, albeit done in a montage with a song called This Is Me, I thought it was a very smart way of bringing that historical context into the movie. And I thought it was a great idea of the writers.
I'm impressed that you know so much about gay history, and I wonder, because if I asked my mom or my dad, for example, about the things that you've just talked about, they wouldn't really have a lot of background on that. And I'm just wondering if what you just shared with me is because of the people you were surrounded with or by when you were younger growing up. Were you surrounded by a bunch of people from the LGBTQ community, or is this because you've now played a couple of characters in historical gay films?
No, I think certainly when I was where I grew up in this tiny country in Southeast Africa, I have no recall of ever meeting anybody that I knew was gay. But certainly when I went to drama college and university, and you go into the theatre where there are many gay people. So it's, I suppose, by osmosis and accumulation of people that you're surrounded by, and so many designers and makeup artists and costume designers in my career experience have been gay. So that I think informs you, and that the people who had the best parties or the best clothes or the best music choices, almost inevitably they were the people that in my experience were gay. So it seemed like the chosen people compared to the rest of us who was like, wearing slouchy clothes or not having as good taste or all that kind of stuff. So, which I know is playing into a complete cliche of it, but I was also friends with an actor called Ian Charlson, who played the lead in Chariots of Fire in the early 80s, and he died of AIDS in 1990. And I'd worked with him a couple of times. So he was really the inspiration for how I approached playing Jack Hock in Can You Ever Forgive Me? And then I went to RuPaul's school on TV to try and learn how to play Hugo Battersby / Loco Chanelle. So I think that you can't work in show business and not be educated by gay people.
Yeah. Do you think that
you'd have to be in a kind of maybe a universe of only doing action movies with hyper machismo people to not be aware?
Yeah. I was going to ask, because you brought up Jack. Do you think Jack and Hugo / Loco would be friends if they met on the street?
I think that Jack is such a gregarious huckster and chancer that he never saw himself as a failure, whereas I think that Hugo knows that he's a failure and he's lost his partner, whereas Jack had lost his partner as well. But there's something innately optimistic about him, about Jack Hock, that is what makes him ludicrous and funny and vulnerable. Whereas Hugo is, until he meets Jamie New, who reignites his love of drag and gives him a kind of brief second act in his life, I think that Jack Hock would probably think that Hugo was a sad old has-been and not worth bothering with. And certainly because he had no money, Jack was entirely obsessed with anybody who was going to get him a drug deal or a free meal or a sofa, whereas Hugo doesn't have anything to offer. He'd just think he was a sad old queen, I think. You'd have no time for him.
I feel like that's a totally fair assessment. I can definitely see that happening. Now that you're plugged into RuPaul's Drag Race, when are you going to be a judge? Is the question.
When are they going to ask me?
I think once the movie comes out, right?
Well, it depends if I pass RuPaul's sachet, you stay or go away. Let's take an amen to that.
Yeah.
That'll depend on what.
I have a feeling there will be no sashaying away for Loco Chanelle. in my own opinion. I'm now RuPaul and I've never done drag, so perhaps I'm not the one here who should be deciding this.
Yes, so you have no authority whatsoever, Chris.
Absolutely not. I didn't tell you enough how much I love Can You Ever Forgive Me, even though we've talked about it. I've loved you for a long time, but I've never loved you more than in that movie. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Melissa McCarthy was a dream partner to work with because she's very difficult.
What does she think of Loco? I mean, she's a character actress. She's got wigs and faces, and she loves lots of makeup. And
she hasn't seen it. It hasn't been released yet, so she hasn't seen it.
Okay, but she knows you've done drag, I'm sure.
Yes, she does.
Okay, all right.
We're in contact.
Maybe she's the one who connects you to RuPaul's Drag Race and gets you on that show as a judge. You know, she can rally for you. Yeah. I feel like RuPaul might listen to her.
Okay. Calling Melissa. I'll call her now.
Yeah, there we go.
Chris Hazafadi said, you've got to get me on RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, can you do that? Yeah, she said that's fine.